So, um, if you have not yet done that survey that I asked you to do, please make sure to do that. I'm still waiting on about 20 people. I really need that done like by tonight so I can get everybody the right materials that they need. The interesting thing is I guess I hadn't really looked at who was signed up to the AP test to take the AP test and um, who was and who wasn't signed up, but only about 10 of you are not taking it, which means that most of us will be doing this whole rhetorical analysis test prep thing. Only a handful of us will be doing something differently. So that's good. Um, Now, so in terms of the AP exam, I had a webinar last night with Trevor Packer, who's like the main AP comp guy, and he made it very clear for me what was about to happen. And so I'm going to make it clear for you. And if it is not clear, please ask questions. So I want to talk about what is the test day going to look like? First of all, it will be on Wednesday, May 20th, and our test will happen at 2 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon, and it will happen at your house and on a device. It will be online. It will be quick also because if you remember, the original exam was almost like 4 hours. It's a huge undertaking. And this one is maximum 50 minutes, 50 minutes. It will not take you more than an hour to do this. So by 3 p.m., you will be done, which is, I mean, it's just unprecedented. Like to me, that's crazy, but that's how they're doing it. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a nice quiet space of your own. You're going to want to make sure that like any loud siblings are corralled somewhere else, or barking dogs or loud equipment or whatever. You just want to like make yourself a nice sanctuary to do this work in. And this kind of makes me feel crazy because normally like on test day I'm like possessed. I'm running through the school telling everybody to shut up, just shut up, my kids are testing. And I'm like a bulldog, just like protecting the sanctity and quietness of our testing space. Like one time Mr. Peterson did his student of the month very long and slowly during the AP test, and it went into the AP testing rooms, and I was sprinting to the office. I was just like, let me at him. It upset me quite a bit. So anyway, I guess the point of this is I feel out of control because I cannot control that for you. So you have to do a nice job of really setting yourself up for success and making sure that you are not bothered and that you can focus. Um, so on the day of, you'll be sitting there at your computer, presumably at some sort of a device, and you will have what they are calling a worksheet next to you. They are adamant that they want you to have a printed, they're calling it a worksheet. I'm calling it the magic worksheet because apparently on this printed piece of paper, they're going to tell you everything you need to know: how to sign in, what happens if things go wrong, all the ins and outs and what have you. What has you? What has you? Um, and so um, I will get you a printed copy of this. It will be mailed to your house and you'll have it and it will sit next to you as you test. I don't do anything to get you started testing. Mr. Lambett's the site coordinator. We have nothing to do with this. All we can do is give you this piece of paper and give you the instructions and be like, here you go. So what the worksheet looks like, I don't know yet. They're going to give it to us later. You're going to use a browser that they have engineered for this. It is not a lockdown browser, which is kind of interesting. It's not the kind that makes it so you can't see anything else. Um, the guy was super shady about the reasoning behind that, and I think they're trying to really, number one, they're not using a lockdown browser because I think they're finicky, and number two, they have some like weird super high level security stuff going on to make sure that you don't cheat, that somehow a lockdown browser negates. I don't know. So what they're saying is on the computer, when you sit down and test, that you'll have two windows open during the test if you can. Like I know on a small screen it's kind of hard, but they would request that you have two windows open. Um, the first window is going to be the prompt of the the test question, right? Like the thing you're going to write. And on that page also there will be a timer. And this timer, they say, this is the biggest problem that people run into with these online kind of tests. People lose track of time and people don't submit it in time and then they get nothing. So to have a window open with the prompt and a timer and a window open as that you're typing. They said you can type in Docs. They said you can type in Word. It doesn't really matter because what you'll do is you'll either copy and paste your writing into their browser, hit submit, or you could upload the doc that you were typing in to submit. Um, Sounds pretty user friendly, actually. Like, I was surprised about all that, but it sounds like, and I think you can even handwrite. He didn't really go through the procedure for that, but I think you can just like write the thing and then take a picture and send it in. So they're very flexible, and they're very, um, yeah, flexible. So before the test, I don't know when, they didn't say when, but you'll receive an online ticket. You're going to want to look for this. And I know all of us have been receiving quite a bit of email from the College Board. I get like an email a day and I'm like, ugh. You know how I feel about emails. I like them. And I know most of you don't. So you're probably just like, too many emails. But this one is going to be important. So before the test, they're going to send you an online ticket. This is your entrance code to get into the test. It is unique to you. And if you don't have it, then you can't take the test, and the test starts promptly at 2:00. So, be aware of this ticket. If it doesn't come through your email, or you lose it, or you delete the email, it's also going to be available in your College Board account portal, whatever. Like, you should probably have your College Board account information, and when you log in there, it'll tell you your online ticket. So, okay. Interestingly enough, this is crazy. So, on the exam, in your writing, you can actually use grammar and spell check, which is going to be helpful to some of you. And also, interestingly, if you have a printer at your house, I don't, I think a lot of people don't. If you have a printer at your house, though, you can print out the prompt and write all over it, just like we do, like how you would have if it was a real in-person paper test. If you don't have a printer, though, there is, if you don't have a printer, there is no way for you to annotate on screen, which is going to be kind of I think, sad. I mean, you can still take notes on paper, just, of your own, but you won't be able to mark up the text online, only if you have a printer. So there's that. Now, an important date to remember. By April 28th, they will be sending me many more details about this process. I feel like that's a good overview of what will happen to you on test day, and like the process and the windows and the key and the ticket and all that. But on April 28th, they're going to send me a big old PowerPoint of details, which I will send to you. The worksheet, that magic worksheet you're going to have sitting next to you on test day, will be sent out on that day. So April 28th is kind of the day that we get to know much more about this process. Yeah. So that's sort of an overview of what testing will look like. Now, the content, you're probably wondering, well, like, what the heck is even going to be on this test? I think this is our lucky day. I really feel good about this because they've whittled down this giant test into one essay. There's pros and cons to that. A lot of people say, like, sweet, one essay. I'd rather do 1, 3, and however many multiple choice. But then again, it's like you only have one essay. With the other ones, if you did poorly on one, you kind of like, cushion your grade with the other one. So in this way, there's a little bit more pressure on this one essay, but I like it because it's the one we've been doing all year. It's the rhetorical analysis essay. It's like our bread and butter. And you've written one. We've done practice outlines. We've been talking about it since the first day of school, basically. So I feel good that the essay that they've chosen is the rhetorical analysis essay. There were 2 more. We just started getting into argumentative, and we had not even talked about synthesis yet. So, like, thank goodness that those 2 weren't the ones. Although I think you could have done fine either way. If you don't remember, you're like, I don't even know what rhetorical analysis is, and I don't remember what you're talking about. If you recall, it's where you get a piece of somebody's writing, a portion of a famous essay, an article, something. Like, it's usually a page, and there's usually like 2 columns. And like we did the Margaret Thatcher eulogy of Reagan, and we did Benjamin Banneker. He wrote a letter to Thomas Jefferson about how slavery should be. Like, we did all those. That's what it's going to be. You read it, you decide like what rhetoric is happening in it, and then you write a pretty structured essay about like how the author makes their point, right? So I think I feel pretty good about our chances with that. Now, the timing is interesting on this. They give you 50 minutes. However, this needs to be emphasized. You get 45 minutes to write, and the last 5 are to submit. Now you might say to yourself, okay, well, like, can't you just write for 49 minutes and then submit in the last one? I think technically you can. I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I think, but what they said is they take this very seriously. If you don't submit within that 50 minutes, it's over for you. No score. They don't read it. They don't count it. That 50 minutes is like serious. So I would just plan for 45, and some of you, like in the practice one that we did, some of you were done in a half an hour. So it's not going to be a problem for all of you. Some of you, it's going to be a problem because it's always hard to say what you want to say in a short period of time and to say it well. So 45 minutes, 5 minutes for submission. There's some leeway there, but don't bank on that extra 5 because they are very strict about that. Why did they choose the rhetorical analysis essay? Apparently, it is the best predictor of what your score would have been if we did a full exam, which means in the past, and they analyze these things to death, so they know all the data. Apparently, in previous years, whoever scored what on the rhetorical analysis essay, it always correlated to what they got overall. So for example, people who did poorly on the rhetorical analysis essay usually did poorly overall on the whole test. Conversely, if they did well, so they think that in just giving you this one exam or this one essay, it will show colleges like what you could have done and that it'll be just as valid as if you did the whole thing. All right, scoring. You're probably wondering, well, then how does this thing get scored? Okay, if you recall with the AP essays, it was a 6-point rubric and it was this kind of clunky 3-page chart. And it was brand new this year, so even I felt it was very clunky and I'm still kind of unfamiliar with it, but I've been working. It's a 6-point rubric. So remember, you got a point for having a thesis or not, a good thesis or not. You got up to 4 points for your body paragraphs, your arguments, your evidence, and all that jazz. And then you got didn't get the magical sophistication point, which was the 1 point at the end, which you can get for being sophisticated. And we talked kind of briefly about what that was like. Now, so you might say to yourself, okay, the rubric is a 6-point rubric. So how does that correlate to the 5-point score scale? Because if you think back to how AP exams are scored, all you get is the 1 through 5, so maybe if you took APUSH, maybe you got a 3, maybe you got a 4, maybe you got a 1, whatever. So you know that that's a 1 to 5. So how does that? And so somebody on this webinar asked, well, then does it just mean like if you get a 6 on this essay, you get a 5 overall, or if you get a 5 on the essay, you get a 4? And the guy said that they don't actually know that yet, and they don't decide those. They call them the cut scores. So like what you had to get a 1 through 5. They don't decide the cut scores until actually they've pretty much all been read and graded. Because what they do then is they look at historical trends and score distribution, and then they just statistics is not my forte, but what I'm trying to say is that like we won't know until it's over, but like new people. But I assume if you get a 5 or 6 on this essay, you'll probably get a 4 or 5 overall, right? So I mean, it's not like rocket science. Sorry, if you have more questions about that, feel free to type them as we go because I didn't do a very good job of explaining that. Okay, grading. This is interesting because normally they have a bunch of people reading these essays, but they have to read all 3 essays. So there's not as many people reading the essay. Now, like several people are going to read your one essay, and if they all agree, cool, that's the score you get. If they don't agree, they're going to have even more people read it. So like lots of people might be reading your essays, but I like that because it means that the score is legit. If you get one person reading it, who knows if they're thinking what everybody else is thinking. So they're really trying to do a really nice job of like making sure that the scores are accurate and equitable and fair. All right, next section. What if things go wrong? Because so far we've sort of been operating in this ideal world that you'll go to take this thing on the 20th of May and you'll sit down and you'll have your worksheet and you'll take the thing and you'll submit it and it'll be great. But what if things go wrong? Because they will. Some people will have problems. And they said that a lot of the questions were on this webinar were like, well, hold on, College Board. We are not, what's the word? confident. Oh my God. I haven't had to like speak or think of words in so long. I'm doing so poorly. They said, hold on, College Board, we are not confident that you have any kind of prowess to be able to take all these uploads at once. Because think about it, hundreds of thousands of people are going to be uploading these documents and tests or whatever at the same exact time. And Trevor Packer, this guy, he said they have tested the system with millions of uploads and that it was never a problem. They don't foresee a problem on their end. They said the number one problem is going to be the internet on your end, which obviously we know that because living in a rural district, we're already dealing with these problems with just like simple work and stuff. He said the number one problem will be your internet connectivity and speed. So here are some things that you can do to help prevent problems on your end. The first is make sure that at this time there is no sibling or parent or anybody of yours playing some kind of high bandwidth video game or streaming like a bunch of stuff, because obviously that will interrupt or make worse your ability to upload something when you need to do it. So if you could just ask your family like to like cool it with the streaming of lots of bandwidth, I don't know the technical part, just don't use a lot of internet at this time. And the other thing is that if you don't, like right now, if you're sitting here and you're like, I just don't even if everybody stayed off their devices, we would still have problems. Here's the thing, there is a link, and I put it in Classroom today. College Board is saying that if you don't have good internet and or don't have a device, which should have been taken care of by our school district, but still, if you don't have a device, there is a link I put in Classroom. Go to this link, fill out this form, and they will give you internet or a device. I don't know how they're going to give you internet. Like, some of you are much more smart than me and you can figure that out probably. I don't know, like, are they going to show up to like us and be like, here's your internet, ma'am? Like, I don't know. I'd like to see that happens, but I don't know. We'll see. So, if you foresee a problem, fill out this form. Apparently, they're going to get back to you within 2 to 3 days, which sounds pretty fancy. The big date, though, here is April 24th. If you don't fill out this form by April 24th, they cannot help you. So please do it like immediately, probably as soon as you leave this Zoom thing. And then you can see, you know, what options are available for you. So hopefully you can get the help you need, because we don't want problems here. The other thing is, they said when you are taking the test, you're typing, you go to upload it, and it's like, you know, you're within the 50 minutes, you go to hit submit, and you hit submit, and then the thing does the thing where it's like, or it's thinking, you know, and there's like a spinning wheel and it keeps spinning, and you see that it's gone past 50 minutes and you're freaking out because your thing didn't upload. They said that if you hit submit and that button is clicked before the 50 minutes is up, that is fine. And it could take 20 minutes to upload, or it could take a day to upload. They don't care. As long as you hit submit, and they will have a record of that, I guess, within the allotted time frame, you're good. So that is some peace of mind, I think, because I can see that happening to a lot of you, frankly. Like, I can see you out there in the woods taking your little exam, you know, and then all of a sudden you hit submit and it just spins and spins. So that is what they say. Now, another sort of fail safe. If something goes wrong, though, like let's say the internet does cut out irrevocably. I don't even know what words are. Let's say the internet cuts out for good, and like a tree fell on your house. I don't know how the internet works. The internet pipes got clogged. Let's say that goes wrong. Maybe your computer freezes. Maybe your battery dies. Maybe power goes out to your house. Maybe the system crashes. Maybe, and this would be annoying. You know how every once in a while, like if the system needs to install updates, it'll be like installing updates out of nowhere, like a scheduled reboot or something. If that happens, if any of those technical difficulties happen, they are going to be super lenient and have a lot of grace with you for that. All you have to do is after the fact, after the test is over, you'll go to application online, and the URL will be on that little printed magic worksheet that they're going to have sitting next to you. You'll go to that URL, and you'll just say like, oh my gosh, a tree fell out of my house while I was testing, or like, oh my gosh, like my computer shut down while I was testing. And then you will hear back whether or not you can take the makeup test. They said that they're going to pretty much allow any excuse. Like they're going to be super lenient about it. They said even for human interruptions. So like, let's say you have a baby brother next door in the room next door to you, and he just starts screaming, and you find that that is not an environment in which you can think, hit, do the makeup test. If you find that like all of a sudden somebody has a chainsaw going outside and you can't focus, makeup test. Like don't even play around with it. Just if you feel like your testing sanctuary is somehow compromised, um is recording? Okay, good. Sorry. Then you earn the right for makeup tests. You will find out, this is an important date to write down or remember. You will find out by May 26th if you can take that makeup test. So our test is on the 20th. Let's say something weird happens. You go as soon as you can, right after it, you'll go to that URL and you'll be like, oh, I broke my arm during the test. And you hit submit. By May 26th, they will tell you yes or no. And they said it'll probably be yes. The only thing that they will not let you do a makeup test for is if you go over the 50 minutes, because they're super strict about time, because that's kind of the one thing I think that they can control. So if you're testing and you forget to hit submit within the 50 minutes, they do not count that as an adequate reason to get a makeup test, unfortunately. But I think like, I don't know, if you explain like maybe the computer's cut out or I don't know, but just know that if you accidentally go too long, they won't accept that. Any other thing, they seem to say that they will accept. The makeup test date, by the way. So if this happens to you and you need to do the makeup test day, it is Friday, June 5th. That's when ours is. And there will be different ones for each subject, obviously. So if you're in AP Physics or AP whatever, please check those individual dates. But ours, our test is the 20th. If you need a makeup, you'll be notified by the 26th. On the 5th of June, you will take it again, or attempt to take it again. Now, this is interesting because some of you have expressed that you're like, I'm not so sure I want to take the AP test anymore. I completely understand, because this was a huge curveball that was thrown at us. This is interesting. If you don't want to take the test, even though you signed up, just don't take the test. They said all you have to do is just not do anything and you will get your money back. No penalty, no late fee, or no whatever, because it was going to be like if you canceled the day of, you were still going to have to pay $40 or something crazy like that. They said if it's like the day of the test and you're just like, no, I can't do this, don't log on, don't put in your key or your what is it called, your ticket, your like, don't log into the system, just don't do anything, and they'll assume that you don't want to take the test. So make sure that if that is the case, you and I talk a lot about that, because I think you'll see in the coming weeks more clearly how you feel about that, because we're going to do, obviously, well, the only work we're going to do from now on out is going to be AP test prep, unless you're not taking the AP test. So I think you'll feel better, but we'll just be in contact. Okay. Sorry if this is going very long. I'm sorry. I do have a lot to say though. Oh, cheating. This is I was wondering about this myself, because it's like, how do you prevent cheating? Come on. Like, everybody's just sitting in their house. Who knows what's going on in the house? Like, how can you prevent that? This guy was super stealthy and like, I don't know, interesting. He was just interesting when he talked about it, because all these teachers were asking all these questions like, well, how are you gonna be? He's like, we have our ways. They're super sophisticated, and you best not try us. And we're all like, what did you mean by that? He's like, I can't tell you. Obviously, he didn't tell us the details, but he said that they have ways to detect if you're cheating or collaborating with other people or anything prior to the test, during the test, and even after the fact of the test. He said that they already caught a physics student, an AP physics student, who was planning on cheating, and somehow nabbed him and obviously he's not going to take the test anymore or something. I don't know. And that he was very sneaky about it, but they still caught him. So here's the bottom line. Don't try anything shady, because if you do, and this is, I think of first, if you are caught cheating or whatever, they will actually tell all the colleges, which is bad for you. So I wouldn't even mess with it. Like, just do your best. Just do the thing that they're asking you to do. Don't try to like call people during, or I don't know, whatever other shady methods that you can probably think of that I can't even think of. Just don't do it, because it's not worth it. Because if the colleges find out that you were involved in some cheating plan like that, it's going to kind of be game over for you. So don't even mess with it. I know you won't, but I just have to say this. They're very, very serious about it. Now, second to last section here, our preparation. So what are we going to do? We have, to my mind, we have 5 weeks before the AP test. The AP test is May 20th. The way I've counted it, we have 5 weeks. Week 1, which starts next week. So next week begins everybody's distance learning plan, which you all know from all your other classes, I'm sure. April 20th through 24th, that week 1, will be our review week. What is the rhetorical analysis essay? How the heck do you write one? Saxon system. Remember that old gem? That's the tool that you need to help you through the writing of this. The rhetorical triangle. All that stuff, I'm gonna revisit it with you. I'm gonna help you remember it, feel comfortable with it, reviewing how to write this one essay. This is the last essay we have to write pretty much before the exam. The way that I am going to convey that review information to you is via a giant, beautiful PowerPoint that I'm going to make tonight. I have to make it tonight because I also have to make the packet version of it to be sent out and mailed out tomorrow and printed. So lo and behold, there will be a giant, beautiful PowerPoint of all this review information given to you either in a packet or digitally. The only other thing that I'm going to do for that week, so week 1 is you just reviewing all that stuff and remembering it and being like, what are we doing? The only other thing I'm going to do for week 1 is I will have one more Zoom meeting. It's probably going to be the last one of all time. I know this is cumbersome. I'm sorry. I'll have one more meeting next week during that week 1, in which I just walk you through and talk you through the PowerPoint. So you don't even really need to attend that. And especially if you're not taking the AP exam, you certainly don't need to attend that. It's just kind of like in class where I put up a PowerPoint and then I talk you through it. If you like that and if it helps you, attend. If you can just read the PowerPoint and get all the information, which it will be comprehensive. It won't be skimpy, like I'm going to say enough in the PowerPoint to get you through. If you don't watch the video or the Zoom, you can do that too. So just if you like this kind of if you like seeing my face and hearing my voice, show up. What do we have to lose? So that's week 1. Week 1, review, one Zoom meeting, giant PowerPoint of information for you to look at. No actual assignment. Congratulations. Now, week 2, which is April 27th through May 1st, which is the second week of our big distance learning thing here. In that week, you will write one timed rhetorical analysis essay. You'll give yourself 45 minutes, no longer. What was that? Oh, it was shocking. What was I saying? Oh, week 2. All right. You will write one rhetorical analysis essay. I will give you an AP prompt. You will give yourself 45 minutes. You will write the thing and you will give it back to me in week 2. And I will read it and I will give you feedback. And I will say, oh, this got a 4, or this got a 6, or this got a 2. And here's how you can make it better. That's week 2. So simple. That's all we're doing. Just that essay. Week 3, same exact thing. I'm going to give you another prompt. You're going to write another essay in 45 minutes. I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to say what's going on with it. Hopefully it's better than the one before. If it's not, then we really have to talk. That's easy. Week 3, that's just the same. Week 4, which is May 11th through 15th, which is the week right before the test. The test is that next Wednesday. Week 4, we can do it all over again. We can write a third essay, or you can choose not to. If you are feeling comfortable, confident, you wrote the 2, you're feeling good about it, week 3, I don't want to bother you. I might do some like little silly vocab thing. I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead. But the point is, if you'd like to do a third essay, you can. If you don't want to do a third essay, you don't have to. Week 5 is the test. And you just write the essay on the test. So it's pretty simple. Note for the packet people out there. So some of you obviously don't have good internet and have requested that a packet be mailed to your house. If you are one of those people and you're thinking about writing these essays in weeks 2 and 3, you can write it in the packet and you can hand the packet back at the front of the school. However, then they have to sit in quarantine for 5 days, and then it's going to take a while. I think the office staff are going to scan them and email them to me. So I might not actually get your essay if you're a packet person for like 2 weeks after. Like it's going to be a while. And for most classes, that's fine. Like for English 11, I mean, there's no time imperative. It's like, well, we have to the end of the year. But for us, it's kind of crunch time because we have this exam day. So if you're a packet person and you can find some way to give me your writing electronically, even if it is just pasting into the body of an email, because most of you, even if you have bad internet, seem to be able to email, which is good. Even if you just paste what you wrote into an email and send it to me, not even a doc, I'll read it and give you comments that way. I just think that if we go on paper through this route, you're not going to get the quick turnaround that you want. And I will give you quick turnaround. I know that's not been my thing. I do my best, but I'm going to give you quick turnaround for this because, it's crunch time. It's exam prep time. Oh, another little caveat here too. In the survey I asked you, I said, if you aren't taking the AP test, you probably don't need to do all this AP test prep stuff, right? However, don't forget that on the SAT, which you will take eventually someday because you still probably want to get in college and stuff, on the SAT, there is an essay component, and that essay is rhetorical analysis, which is another reason why it's good that we're doing this one. So all of you who are taking the AP test will have this practice already. But if you're not taking the AP test and you do want to take the SAT someday, and you still want to like play along and do this rhetorical analysis essay stuff, for you will receive SAT prompts and the SAT rubric. So we will no longer be doing AP prompts with you. And they're kind of different. Well, I would say the SAT ones are just easier because they're not AP level. Everybody, like, had we taken the SAT yesterday, which by the way, that was yesterday. Had we taken that yesterday, everybody and their brother would have written that essay. Everybody in the entire 11th grade. So it is a little easier. So if you're doing that, choosing to play along still test prep plan, you will get SAT prep materials. Let's see. Last topic, and then we can do some Q&A. Last topic is grading, and I think you're probably aware of some of this. But I'm just going to say it because why not? And this has nothing to do with the AP test. This is just with our class and our grades. The way it's structured is that the grade you have right now in the grade book, except a few of you have some weird stuff where like you have been able to get me things like, oh, I said a name. A person who shan't be named, group, has not yet been able to get me their video because of technical. Anyway, long story short, there's a few exceptions to this, but anyway, everybody else, whatever you have in the grade book right now for AP Comp, that's 80% of your final grade. Whatever you do during this distance learning time is 20% of the grade. However, good news for you, it's completion only. No, like you won't get graded. I mean, you'll get feedback from me, obviously, because that's important for our purposes. But I won't give you like a B or a C or a D or whatever. You're just A's, everybody, all the time. So good news, because that means if you do all this work that I'm about to give you, which isn't really that much work, to be honest with you, 100% for basically what would have been your exam grade. And that means your grade will go up. So most of you are going to be in that boat. Congratulations. However, if you don't do the work in the next couple weeks, like if you don't do any of it, you will get an incomplete, and then you'll have to take English 11 next year. So that will kind of stink. If you make some attempt to do the work, like let's say you do half of it, well, then you just get a 50% if you did half in the 20% distance learning / exam portion. So, you could choose not to do all the work. It's going to bring your grade down for sure. But to that end, if whatever happens during this crazy quarantine pandemic time brings your grade down, it actually won't. You will just receive a credit grade, a CR grade, which does not affect your GPA. And you just move along to the next grade. So it really you just have to think about your own priorities. Like, do you want a grade? Do you want a better grade? Do you just want to take the credit? If some of you were failing before or are currently failing, if that is you, we need to talk because we want to make sure that you don't keep failing. The good news is if you were failing and you do this work right now, you can get credit. They're not going to let you fail because of this or even because of what you did before this. So some of you are a little bit lucky. All right, so that's all I have to say. I hope it was new and interesting information. I hope you didn't know all that because I would feel really bad if I just wasted your time. Did I waste your time? I mean, I don't know. So before we get our faces back on here, if anybody has a question at all, they should type it into the chat. And I will wait and look. A person who shan't be named says, is the completion thing for every class? Yeah. Yeah, that's the policy. We just have to, that's what we have to follow. Tyrone Magnude says, what's your favorite color? Orange, of course. I mean, you would think gray was my favorite color because that's just how I roll, but it's orange. Says, when is vocab quiz? There ain't one. What are you talking about? We're done. But I kind of want to do something fun and interesting with vocab just for fun. You know, like I don't want to make a whole big deal of it. I don't want to do a bunch of grades for it because again, like it's all completion. So how would you do a quiz grade based on completion? I don't know. But I think we should have some vocab fun because it was the fun part of this class. It was one of the fun parts of this class. Oh crap, I did say more names. Dang it, Trisha. Trisha I can say because she is over 18. Let's see. Carol Baskin Robbins, who is not a student of mine, but is an alias, says, can we have notes while writing? On the AP test itself? Is that the question? Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can have like a bunch of paper out and you can just like, because how we would practice is I would give you unlimited paper and the prompt and you just write all over it. So, oh, but you mean notes from like how to do it, like the Saxon system and all that. Oh, I don't think so. I will find clarification about that because that feels like cheating, but I don't know how they would possibly catch you because they don't even know. The Saxon system isn't even on the radar. They don't know what it is. I invented it. Clearly, it's my system. It is an open note test. Did they say that somewhere that it's an open note test? The sister said, oh, well then I guess you can use, I guess you can use, they're all open note, like calculus and all that? Holy cow. That's great. I'm gonna definitely check on that. I assume if you're all saying that you heard it, that's cool. Congratulations. Saxon system it up. Okay, let me go back up to a few more questions here. An unnamed person says, how do you submit the AP essay again? Through one of the windows that we have open. Yes, there will be, I think on the page that has like prompt and the timer, there's going to be a area where you can submit and you can either copy and paste what you've written or you can upload a doc that you've written. Don't write in the little, I'm sure there's like a little dialogue box that you could technically write in, but I would never do that in a million years because I know I've been burned 1,000 times. So always write somewhere else and then copy and paste it in later. But there should be like a giant button that says submit. On the 28th of April, we will see much more detailed instructions about how that's going to work. Carol Baskin Robbins says, they can try to catch me. Interesting. Open note. Wow. An unnamed person says, will there be any other assignments other than test prep work after the test is done? So I usually have one more essay after the test is done. And it's usually my favorite essay that anybody ever writes. And it's called, well, it's like a profile piece. So you would pick a person and write about, you know how we've like written about a place and written about a thing and written about all kinds of different stuff. This last one is about a person, and they're usually so good. However, I don't know if we're going to do it. I think we will, because I think I do have to give you something. Like, I think it's, you know, leading up to the test, we're not doing that much. And so I think we just can't call it quits. Like, I'd like to get one more piece of writing out of you if I could, and not to add, not like it's going to be huge and stressful, because again, it's graded on completion, honestly. But I miss you and your writing so much that, like, I kind of want to have one last hurrah, but I'll think about it. And if you have arguments either way, please email me and say, like, lady, you're crazy, don't make us write, or lady, please make us write because I want to write one more thing. I don't know. I'm still up in the air about that. Really, my complete focus is on the AP test, and I can't even think past that. Let's see. Oh, am I going to have office hours like the superintendent mentioned in that one video? Yes, every day from 2 to 4 p.m. And you obviously you can email me anytime, but I was thinking that those would be good times, especially if you had like for example, if after we do the first essay, you write the thing 45 minutes, you give it back to me, I give you feedback. You could even, like, we could schedule a time during 2 to 4, like we could meet up on your doc and talk through the comments about certain parts. If you're like, I don't get why this part isn't good, can you please tell me? And I could say, oh, of course. Like, in the doc we could have a conversation. Obviously I'll be checking email. We can do like a video thing, we can do a phone thing. I'm open for anything between 2 and 4 every day. Yeah. Oh, the treasure hunt. I know. We are going to do something about that because that is my favorite thing of the year. If you don't know, the AP treasure hunt is a day or a couple days usually it takes for it to be done, where it's just like crazy, no holds barred, clue finding, problem solving, running through the school. Even if we could do, like, maybe we could even do it out at like Gun Lake State Park or something, like late into the summer. I don't know. I've got ideas, but we will have the treasure hunt at some point. Um Oh no! Somebody said, I can't name names. Saxton, this is family workout time. My mom says that you take too much more time. You're going to have to work out with me. I don't, I don't know if that's going to happen. I've been, the only workout I do now is cooking and eating a lot of potatoes. Like, that's my new thing. So, um, I don't mean, I know a certain student will be disappointed, a couple of certain students, because in third hour months ago, they had me working out real good for one day. It's not been happening. Question, will you be posting this Zoom conversation on Classroom so we can refer back to it? Absolutely. Yep. Question, what do they mean by office hours if we can just email you at any time? Oh, like what makes office hours special? I think it's a way to make sure that teachers are checking their email once a day, honestly. Because I think with this whole distance learning thing, if we're not getting back to you in a timely fashion, that's going to be a detriment to this whole thing, because the whole point is that we're not in a classroom and that you should have access to us like once a day to, like, we should be getting back to people once a day. You know what I'm like, it shouldn't be more than one day that you have to wait for a response. I was not good during the last couple weeks because really, I don't know, there was, I don't know, because everything was up in the air still. But now, office hours 2 to 4, I will definitely answer all emails. And I think if you really wanted to have like a conference, Zoom or whatnot, you could do it during that time. Ooh, curly cone ice cream prize. I don't know what that means, but yes. Healthy carbs. Sure. Somebody who shan't be named says, don't drop a weight on my foot again. Don't test me. Don't test me, girl. Oh, throwback to C-Sex joining Flecky's 6-hour PE class and absolutely dominating at volleyball. That is true. Good throwback. Question, would we be able to either have a private Zoom call with you or talk on the phone if we need any help? Absolutely. Call me up, Zoom me up, 2 to 4, I'll be here. I'm just gonna sit in this very boring gray room in my gray sweatshirt with my gray pillows, and I will wait for you. And I will just sit here waiting for contact from humans. Oh, ice cream for the treasure hunt prize. Yes, please. Ice cream for anything. Any other questions before I end this recording? No? Oh, speaking of sweatshirts, will we ever get epic AP comp merch? We should. And we should have like a special edition, like weird, like, celebrating this weird year that we've had. I mean, they're always kind of based on inside jokes and stuff from the year, but definitely. I want merch for myself. So let's all get some merch. I usually design the sweatshirts slash t-shirts. But if any of you have good ideas, draw it up, send me an email. Let's talk. Merch. Mick Jagger. Thank you for, actually these aliases are making this easy. Mick Jagger says, how do we submit AP tests? Uh-oh. What's happening? What's happening?